Have you ever walked into a room and felt the atmosphere shift, even before you said a word? Have you noticed how some people are drawn to you, while others seem unsettled, though you've done nothing to provoke them? This is not arrogance. This is not coincidence. This is power. A silent, invisible strength that emanates from your being. And if you recognize these signs in yourself, it may be time to accept what you've long suspected. Your aura is too powerful. You are not like everyone else, and that is your path, not your problem. Have you ever noticed that some of the most powerful people in the world say very little? They don't fight for attention. They don't rush to prove their worth. They enter a room, and something about them causes the air to shift. It's not their appearance, their money, or even their words. It's something deeper, something unseen. It is presence. It is stillness. And it is this very stillness that speaks louder than noise ever could. We are often taught that power is loud, that to be noticed, we must be the most energetic, the most talkative, the most dominant. But the truth is, authentic power is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It simply is. A powerful aura begins in silence. It is born from the stillness you cultivate within. This stillness is not laziness. It is not inaction. It is awareness. Deep, alert, present awareness. And when you operate from that space, people can feel it. They may not know why they feel drawn to you, or even uncomfortable around you. But something in them recognizes something in you. This stillness doesn't arrive all at once. It isn't gifted to us by age or circumstance. It's something we develop intentionally over time. We stop reacting to every trigger. We pause before we speak. We watch our thoughts instead of obeying them blindly. And gradually, we begin to feel something very rare in this world, a sense of space between what happens and how we respond. That space is the foundation of power. Think about how easily we are pulled around by the outside world. A message pops up on your phone. Your heart rate jumps. Someone says something disrespectful. Your pride leaps in. The news delivers bad headlines. Your mind races with worry. In all these cases, what do we lose? We lose stillness. We lose the quiet strength that allows us to see clearly and act deliberately. Most people live in reaction. They are constantly moving, speaking, doing, hoping that motion will give them meaning. But in truth, motion without awareness is just distraction. Now imagine someone who carries stillness within them. Their breathing is calm. Their gaze is steady. They do not need to interrupt or outshine anyone, because they are rooted in something solid. When others are anxious, they remain grounded. When others gossip, they stay silent. When tension rises, they breathe deeper. This is not because they are indifferent. It is because they have mastered the energy within themselves. And this mastery radiates out. Stillness is not something others always understand. In fact, many people mistake it for weakness or detachment. They may ask why you're so quiet, why you don't participate in drama, why you don't rush like everyone else. But the truth is, when you have found peace within, you no longer need the noise. You no longer need to prove or perform. You are enough as you are. This is why powerful auras often go unnoticed at first glance. Because they don't demand to be seen. They allow themselves to be discovered. And when others do notice, it often leaves a lasting impression. Not because of what you did, but because of how you made them feel. You brought stillness into their chaos. You offered a reflection of peace they didn't know they were searching for. Many older adults, especially those who have lived through loss, hardship, or great change, begin to touch this stillness naturally. The drama of youth fades. The need to be right fades. What remains is clarity. Priorities shift from being heard to being wise, from being busy to being whole. And yet, even then, the world around us does not slow down. It demands our attention at every turn. But the invitation remains, return to stillness. This doesn't mean sitting in silence all day. It means learning to listen to your breath when others raise their voices. It means pausing before reacting. It means recognizing that you don't have to answer every insult or attend every argument. You begin to choose peace over pride, not because you are weak, but because you have seen where pride leads. You've seen the damage of thoughtless words and impulsive choices. And now, you've chosen differently. Stillness also creates space for intuition. When the noise dies down, you begin to hear the quiet guidance within you. You begin to feel what is true, rather than chasing what is popular. You trust your pace, your timing, your rhythm. You stop comparing yourself to others because you realize they are not on your path. And their urgency is not your emergency. In that stillness, you may notice how uncomfortable others become. Not everyone is ready to sit with their own thoughts. Not everyone wants to be in the presence of someone who doesn't validate their chaos. Your stillness becomes a mirror. And not everyone enjoys what they see in it. But this is not your concern. Your role is not to explain yourself to those who do not yet understand peace. Your role is to remain grounded, rooted, whole. The beauty of stillness is that it multiplies. When you choose to respond with calm, others begin to slow down too. When you refuse to be provoked, the energy in the room shifts. You begin to lead, not through authority, but through energy. Your presence begins to teach. And those who are ready will listen, not with their ears, but with their spirit. This kind of power is subtle, but it is unshakable. It cannot be taken from you because it is not based on what others give. It lives within you. It walks with you. It becomes your natural state. And when you walk into the world with that kind of peace, you are not just living, you are elevating the space around you. But stillness is not simply the absence of sound. It is the ability to hold space for what is difficult without collapsing into it. It is the ability to hear harsh words and respond with compassion. It is the strength to feel pain and still choose love. This is the power of presence, and the world needs more of it. As your aura grows, you will begin to notice something else. You start to affect people even when you say nothing. You enter a room, and some people look twice. Others turn away. They can feel something, even if they can't name it. This brings us to the second sign of a powerful aura. Your energy triggers unspoken reactions. This is one of the most misunderstood realities of walking in your true energy. You are not doing anything wrong, and yet people may treat you differently. Some may feel nervous around you. Others may seem irritated. Still others may seek your presence without knowing why. It is not always because of what you say or do. It is because of what you reflect. When you live in alignment, your very presence becomes a kind of mirror. You reflect back to others the truth they are avoiding. Your authenticity confronts their performance. Your calm confronts their chaos. Your humility exposes their ego. And for many, this is uncomfortable. It is easier to be around those who reinforce their illusions than to be in the presence of someone who quietly exposes them. This is why powerful people are often misunderstood. You may be accused of being too serious, too cold, too detached. You may hear, "You've changed," or "You think you're better than others." But you haven't changed. You've simply stopped pretending. You've stopped playing along with what doesn't feel true. You've stopped laughing at jokes that go against your values. You've stopped chasing approval. And now, your very presence disrupts the games that others are still playing. This can feel lonely, especially when those closest to you begin to distance themselves. You may wonder, what did I do wrong? But the question is not what you did. It is what you became. You became clear, and clarity is often met with resistance, because clarity sees through manipulation, through performance, through falseness. And not everyone is ready to be seen in that way. You must remember, your energy is not meant to please everyone. It is meant to be true. The moment you begin to shrink yourself so others feel comfortable, you start to lose the very power that made you different. Let others react as they will. Let them feel uncomfortable. Let them misinterpret. It is not your job to make your presence palatable. It is your job to live in truth. At the same time, do not allow your awareness to turn into judgment. Just because you can see through others does not mean you must condemn them. Many are simply not ready. They are doing the best they can with what they know. Your presence is not here to punish, but to illuminate, to offer a higher frequency, not as a weapon, but as a possibility. You are not here to fix anyone. You are here to stand as a reminder of what is possible when one lives with awareness. Some will move away from you. Others will be drawn toward you. Both are okay. Both are necessary, because your energy is not neutral. It is catalytic. It activates what is dormant in others. And that process, though often uncomfortable, is part of growth. The more grounded you become in your authenticity, the more effortless this process becomes. You no longer take reactions personally. You no longer need to explain yourself. You simply allow others to feel what they feel. and remain centered in your own peace. This is the quiet confidence of those who have walked through fire and emerged whole. It is the wisdom of experience, the grace of discipline, the humility of one who has faced themselves deeply. You do not need applause. You do not need agreement. You simply need alignment. And when you are aligned, your aura speaks for itself. It speaks in stillness. It speaks in silence. It speaks in the way people remember you long after you've gone. Not because of what you said, but because of how they felt in your presence. Safe, challenged, awakened. There comes a moment in every life where the need to be accepted begins to fade, and something deeper takes its place, the need to be whole. At first, this shift is subtle. You may not even notice it happening. But one day, the compliments that once excited you now feel hollow. The approval you used to crave begins to lose its power. And instead of asking, "Do they like me?" you begin asking, "Am I living in truth?" That is the moment you begin to walk your own path. It's not a loud or rebellious act. It's not about rejecting others for the sake of being different. It is simply a quiet recognition that the crowd, for all its noise and motion, is often lost. You start to see it. The way people chase trends. The way they trade authenticity for applause. The way they follow the loudest voice, even when that voice leads nowhere. And something in you begins to step back. Not in judgment, but in clarity. You are no longer interested in walking in circles just to stay in the middle. This shift can be both liberating and lonely. Because the moment you stop seeking belonging in places that demand your silence, you often find yourself standing alone. And that is the paradox. Your path becomes clearer, just as your company becomes smaller. The people who once celebrated you may begin to question you, not because you've betrayed them, but because you've stopped betraying yourself. You no longer laugh at jokes that make you uncomfortable. You no longer nod in agreement just to avoid tension. You no longer participate in conversations that drain your spirit. And it confuses people, because for so long, you were willing to blend in. Now, you've chosen to be honest. And honesty, even when it is silent, unsettles the structures built on pretense. Older adults often know this shift well. With the passing of time comes the realization that life is too short to be lived as a performance. After enough disappointments, betrayals, and long nights of the soul, the desire to be liked becomes far less important than the desire to be at peace. And peace, true peace, cannot coexist with pretending. So you walk your path, sometimes in solitude, sometimes misunderstood, but always with integrity. And as you walk, you begin to understand something else. See, you do not need to be surrounded to feel supported. You do not need validation to know your worth. You become your own compass, your own anchor, your own quiet authority. And this in itself is a sign of a powerful aura. People may not understand why you've stopped attending every social event, why you seem more selective with your time, why you spend more mornings in stillness, or why you no longer participate in certain discussions. But the truth is, once you taste inner clarity, you cannot return to noise. Once you begin to walk in alignment with your values, every step that deviates feels heavy. It's not that you've become cold or distant. You've just become more intentional. This is not about isolation. It's about discernment. When you are on your true path, you are not interested in being everywhere. You are interested in being where you are meant to be. You are no longer driven by FOMO, the fear of missing out. You've replaced it with something deeper, the joy of not being where your spirit does not belong. This discernment strengthens your aura. People begin to notice. Not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. You speak less, but your words carry more weight. You do less, but your actions have more purpose. You don't chase attention, but attention finds you. Not because you ask for it, but because your energy is unmistakably whole. But walking your own path also means becoming comfortable with misunderstanding. There will be those who assume you think too highly of yourself, that you've become distant or elitist. But you will learn to let that go, because you understand that people can only meet you from where they are, not from where you are going. And if you try to explain yourself to everyone, you will never move forward. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them interpret. You are not here to be decoded. You are here to be real. And with that reality comes another level of power, the ability to remain unshakable in chaos. Because once you stop needing the crowd, you also stop fearing its judgment. You stop being controlled by the tides of opinion, the storms of gossip, or the winds of uncertainty. You become your own weather. You learn how to bring your own calm. This calm is not passivity. It is not surrender. It is strength. Because nothing is more powerful than a person who has learned how to remain centered when the world around them is losing balance. We've all seen how quickly things can unravel. A single piece of bad news and the mind spirals. A sudden conflict and the heart races. A public mistake and pride rushes to defend itself. But for those who have cultivated inner stillness, these moments no longer hold the same power. You feel the wave of emotion rise, but you don't ride it. You notice the trigger, but you don't pull it. You observe the chaos, but you don't become it. This is emotional maturity. It is the wisdom to know that not everything deserves a response, that not every battle is yours to fight, that sometimes silence is the loudest strength, and that choosing peace is not weakness, it is strategy. Older adults often embody this strength in ways they don't always recognize. After years of surviving real life storms, grief, illness, betrayal, financial struggle, they begin to lose interest in petty arguments and temporary disruptions. They know what matters. They've seen how quickly life can change, and because of that, they carry a quiet dignity into every situation. A sense of perspective that says, this too shall pass. It is this perspective that strengthens your aura more than any book, any course, or any affirmation. Because it is earned, it is lived, it cannot be faked. And those who encounter it can feel the difference immediately. People will test your calm. Life will test your calm. And each time, you will have the choice: respond from ego or respond from clarity. The more you choose clarity, the more unshakable you become. Not because life gets easier, but because you get steadier. You begin to learn that calmness does not mean avoidance. It means facing life with open eyes and a steady heart. You deal with challenges not by running from them, but by standing still and seeing them clearly. You confront problems, but you don't let them define your energy. You feel pain, but you don't become bitter. You grieve, but you don't lose hope. There is a great power in emotional restraint, not repression, but restraint, knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to act and when to observe, when to assert and when to surrender. These choices shape your energy more than you realize. And the more deliberate they become, the more magnetic your presence becomes. When your aura is powerful, people often feel safer around you. Even if they can't explain why, they sense your steadiness. They feel your non-reactivity. They trust your ability to hold space for complexity without becoming reactive or controlling. And in a world that is constantly shouting, your calm becomes a sanctuary. But this sanctuary is not built in a day. It is built one breath at a time, one decision at a time, one moment of self-restraint at a time. And over the years, as these moments compound, you develop a kind of spiritual spine, an inner posture that does not waver when the world does. You'll notice how your definition of power changes. It no longer looks like being feared or admired. It looks like being consistent. It looks like being kind without being weak, firm without being harsh, present without being controlling. You begin to live with the kind of quiet confidence that doesn't need to be announced. And in that confidence, you are not moved by flattery or shaken by criticism. You don't rise too high on praise, and you don't fall too low on insult. You've learned how to remain neutral in the noise, not indifferent, but unhooked. That neutrality allows you to become more generous, more compassionate, more curious, because you're no longer defensive. You're no longer proving anything. You're simply showing up, again and again, in alignment with your highest values. When you are unshakable, it doesn't mean you don't feel. It means your feelings don't hijack your wisdom. You can experience sadness without becoming it. You can witness chaos without feeding it. You can acknowledge conflict without escalating it. You are not swayed by every mood, every tone, every slight change in energy. You are aware, but not reactive. And this allows you to hold space for others, not from obligation, but from overflow. You are no longer giving from depletion. You are giving from fullness, because your center is intact. Your energy is clean. Your boundaries are clear. You become the kind of person who brings calm to the room, who holds the gaze instead of looking away, who sits with discomfort instead of avoiding it, who chooses reflection over reaction, understanding over accusation, patience over panic. It is not that you are never shaken. It's that you no longer stay shaken. You've built the habit of returning to breath, returning to purpose, returning to presence. And each return strengthens the signal of your aura. Others may never know what you've endured to reach this place. They may never understand the inner wars you've had to fight, the illusions you've had to release, the healing you've had to embrace. But they will feel the result in your eyes, in your tone, in your silence. There is a quiet kind of power that doesn't need to raise its voice, a kind of strength that lives not in force or control, but in presence. And sometimes that presence becomes so strong, so deeply rooted in clarity and truth, that it begins to disrupt everything around it, without a single word spoken. It's not because you seek to provoke. It's not because you intend to stir discomfort. It's because your energy no longer fits into the spaces shaped by pretense, and the people who depend on illusion begin to feel uneasy in your presence. This is something many people do not talk about. The tension that arises when your growth outpaces the expectations others once had of you, when your aura becomes a mirror, not of what others want to see, but of what they need to see and perhaps have long avoided. And while this transformation is powerful, it is also isolating at times, because not everyone will celebrate your evolution. Some will resist it, not because they are cruel, but because your presence reminds them of the work they haven't done. As you rise in self-awareness, as you deepen in peace, you may begin to notice that certain people withdraw. They become distant, cold, or even reactive. Not because you've harmed them, but because you've stopped playing small to make them comfortable. You've stopped agreeing to dysfunction. You've stopped allowing your energy to be used as a cushion for their avoidance. And this shift, while necessary, can be deeply misunderstood. You see, a powerful aura doesn't seek to dominate or control. It simply radiates truth. And truth has a way of pulling down masks, not with aggression, but with clarity. It reveals the hidden, it awakens the sleeping, and it disrupts the comfortable patterns that have gone unchallenged for years. If you've ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift, if conversations slowed, eyes turned, or people seemed unsure of how to respond to your calm presence, that is not your imagination. That is your aura speaking before you do. Older adults often experience this without even realizing it. With age comes depth. With lived experience comes refinement. You no longer speak in excess because you've seen enough to know that silence often carries more truth. You no longer argue every point because you've learned that not every disagreement needs your participation. And yet, this quiet refinement, this deep maturity, can be deeply unsettling to those still operating from a surface-level existence. Imagine a pond. The surface may be disturbed by wind or movement, but deep below, the water is still. You become like that still water. And those who live only on the surface, who are stirred by every current of emotion or opinion, feel the contrast when they meet you. They cannot control you. They cannot predict you. And they cannot pull you into their storms. So instead, they may resist you. This resistance can show up in subtle ways. People may minimize your insights, not because they lack value, but because acknowledging them would require change. They may try to provoke you, not because you've done anything wrong, but because they need a reaction to validate their own emotional chaos. Or they may gossip about you, trying to create a version of you that fits more neatly into their worldview. Because the real you, the calm, conscious unbothered you, threatens their comfort. And yet, none of this is personal. One of the most freeing insights you can carry is this: people are not reacting to you. They are reacting to what your energy triggers in them. If your strength reminds someone of their passivity, they may feel threatened. If your peace contrasts their inner turmoil, they may feel exposed. If your discipline highlights their inconsistency, they may feel judged. Even if you've said nothing, you are not judging them. Your aura is simply honest. And in a world used to pretending, honesty can feel like violence. But you do not have to shrink to make others feel safe. You do not have to apologize for your healing. You do not have to dim your light to match the shadows others choose to live in. You have the right to evolve, to become, to expand. Even if others are not ready, especially if others are not ready. Because staying small for the sake of harmony is not peace. It's a silent war against yourself. This is where emotional maturity becomes essential. The more powerful your aura becomes, the more responsibility you carry, not to fix others, but to remain steady in the face of their projections. You will be misunderstood. You will be mischaracterized. But you must learn not to internalize it. Because if you take it personally, you will begin to doubt your path. You will question your progress. And eventually, you will regress just to fit in again. But regression will cost you more than rejection ever could. It will cost you your alignment. It will cost you your inner peace. And no relationship, no friendship, no social group, no family tie is worth sacrificing your soul's evolution. That does not mean you become arrogant or dismissive. Quite the opposite. It means you cultivate compassion. Because you understand that resistance is often fear in disguise. It is the fear of the unknown, the fear of change, the fear of losing the old dynamics that once made others feel in control. And so you hold space, you remain kind, but you stay firm. You allow others their process, without letting their process derail yours. In many ways, this is the quiet work of becoming. It is not glamorous. It is not always visible, but it is sacred, and it is necessary. Because the more you allow your aura to expand, the more it becomes a light, not just for yourself, but for others as well. Even if they resist you now, your consistency, your clarity, and your calm may become the very anchor they seek later on. So you keep showing up, not to prove, not to persuade, but to embody. You embody patience in the face of provocation. You embody humility in the face of projection. You embody love in the face of fear. And by doing so, you slowly create a new pattern, a new possibility, a new way of being. You become the evidence that peace is possible, that strength can be silent, that power can be graceful. And even if others don't recognize it immediately, your energy begins to work on them. Not through force, but through presence. Not by pushing, but by radiating. This kind of influence cannot be measured, it cannot be quantified, but it is real, and it is transformative. Because people remember how they feel around you. They may not recall every word you say, but they will remember the safety, the clarity, the groundedness. And over time, those memories may plant seeds. Seeds that grow when they are finally ready. So even if your presence disrupts, do not retreat. Even if your peace exposes others' chaos, do not dilute it. Even if your growth makes others uncomfortable, do not apologize. You are not here to live small. You are not here to stay the same. You are here to awaken, to align, to evolve. And that evolution will make waves. Not everyone will like it, but your soul will know. And that knowing must be your compass. In the presence of a powerful aura, some will feel safe, and others will feel seen. And not everyone is ready to be seen. Some have lived in roles for so long, they've forgotten who they truly are beneath them. Your presence reminds them. And until they are ready to meet themselves, they may avoid meeting you. But that is not your burden to carry. Your task is to remain authentic, to keep your energy clean, to continue doing the inner work so that you remain free, not just from external expectations, but from the internal need to be liked. It is a high path, not an easy one, but it is the only one that leads to true freedom. And with each step, you gain something more precious than popularity. You gain peace. You gain integrity. You gain sovereignty. And in a world filled with noise, these are rare treasures. So when you feel the resistance, take it as a sign. Not that you are wrong, but that you are real. Not that you are too much, but that you are no longer willing to be less. Let the discomfort come. Let the silence stretch. Let the space widen. It is in this spaciousness that your true self can finally breathe. Because when your aura becomes powerful, you do not need to push to be heard. You simply stand in truth. And the right people, those who are ready, those who are open, those who are also becoming, will feel it. They will be drawn not to your image, but to your essence. Not to your perfection, but to your presence. There comes a time in life when you begin to sense that what once defined you no longer holds the same power. The titles, the roles, the achievements, they begin to soften in importance. What once felt urgent begins to feel distant. And in that quiet space, something more enduring starts to emerge. Not a desire to be known, but a desire to know. Not a chase for recognition, but a yearning for alignment. And it is here, in this subtle but profound transition, that your inner truth begins to rise. often with such clarity that it no longer asks for permission to be seen. It simply exists. This is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to who you've always been beneath the layers, beneath the roles you played to please others, beneath the expectations that shaped your behavior, beneath the survival strategies that helped you belong. Your aura begins to grow in power when you begin shedding what was never truly yours. And this process, while beautiful, is not without discomfort. Because letting go of the false means facing what's real. And the real can be confronting, especially when it reveals how long you've lived in a version of yourself that was designed more for acceptance than authenticity. Many older adults come to this realization not through reading or teaching, but through life itself. Through the betrayals that stripped away illusion, through the grief that cracked the surface, through the failures that humbled the ego. These experiences, though painful, become sacred doorways because they reveal what no longer serves, and more importantly, what must now be honored. Your voice, your values, your essence. And when that essence begins to shine through, it carries with it a frequency that is unmistakable. You no longer speak to impress. You speak to express. You no longer act to conform. You act to align. Your yes becomes wholehearted, and your no becomes non-negotiable. Not because you are rigid, but because you are rooted. Rooted in self-awareness. Rooted in self-respect. Rooted in the understanding that your time, your energy, your attention, these are sacred currencies. There is a quiet elegance in knowing yourself, in no longer needing to be validated externally to feel worthy internally. This is not arrogance, it is freedom. And that freedom is often misunderstood by those who still find their identity in how others see them. But as you grow into your truth, you begin to care less about being liked and more about being whole. Imagine standing in a room where everyone is talking over each other, trying to be heard. And instead of raising your voice, you simply go still. You breathe, you center. And in that stillness, people begin to notice. Not because you demanded attention, but because your presence invited reflection. That is what a grounded aura does. It doesn't chase approval. It emanates integrity. It doesn't follow trends. It honors timeless values. And that is rare in a world that often rewards performance over presence. As you come into deeper contact with your inner truth, your relationships begin to shift. Some deepen, others dissolve. And while that may seem like loss on the surface, it is in fact a great liberation. Because no longer are you pretending to maintain connections that drain you. No longer are you smiling to keep the peace when your soul is aching for honesty. You begin to surround yourself not with people who merely tolerate you, but with those who see you, who meet you in truth, who challenge you gently and walk with you honestly. This stage of life, especially for older adults, becomes less about accumulation and more about refinement. You no longer seek to add more, but to release what no longer belongs. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. You start to understand that peace is not found in having everything, but in needing less. In wanting only what nurtures your spirit. In choosing what expands your heart, not just your schedule. You may find that certain environments no longer feel right. Not because they've changed, but because you have. You notice noise more. You sense falseness more clearly. You are drawn to spaces of quiet beauty, where conversations are intentional and silences are respected. This sensitivity is not weakness. It is your spirit choosing resonance over chaos. It is your soul protecting its sanctuary. And within that sanctuary, you begin to remember. Remember the parts of yourself you tucked away to fit in. The childlike wonder, the creative spark, the fierce intuition. They return, not to be observed from a distance, but to be welcomed home. You begin to honor the whispers within that say, "This is who you really are." And that voice, the inner knowing, becomes louder than the noise of the world. This is how your aura becomes unshakable, not by force, but by authenticity. Not by resisting others, but by returning to yourself. And this return is not a one-time event. It is a practice, a way of being, a daily devotion to inner alignment. You begin to notice the small moments that pull you off center. And rather than blaming the world, you return to breath, to awareness, to choice. Because that is what freedom gives you, the power to choose how you respond, no matter how the world behaves. And over time, this practice of alignment becomes your lifestyle. You begin to notice the quiet blessings of simplicity. A walk in nature, a heartfelt conversation, the warmth of morning light on your skin. You become less interested in chasing and more interested in cherishing. Less drawn to ambition, more drawn to meaning. This is not a giving up. It is a waking up to the beauty of enough, to the power of presence, to the gift of now. Some may ask, why now? Why this shift? And the answer is found in the rhythm of life itself. There comes a point when the soul no longer wants to play roles. It wants to be real. When the heart no longer wants to impress. It wants to connect. And that point is not marked by age, but by readiness. When you are ready to live from the inside out, rather than the outside in. When you are ready to meet yourself, not as the world shaped you, but as you truly are. This readiness does not arrive with fanfare. It arrives quietly, often after years of searching, after decades of doing. It shows up in moments of stillness when you hear yourself say, there must be more than this. And that whisper is not a complaint. It is a calling back to center, a calling toward truth, a calling into wholeness. And when you begin to answer that call, you may find that you no longer need to explain yourself. Your energy speaks clearly. Your actions speak truly. And those who are meant to walk with you will recognize it. Not because you convince them, but because they feel you. Not just your words, but your essence. That essence is your power, and it can never be taken from you, only forgotten by you. Your task now is to remember that you are not here to live by default, but by design. That you are not here to merely exist, but to embody. That your presence is not a product of others' approval, but of your own alignment. And that alignment is not a destination, but a direction. You will not always feel it perfectly, but you will know when you've strayed. The body will tell you, the spirit will signal, and when it does, you pause. You reflect, you return. This return is your real power, the ability to recalibrate again and again toward what is true. In a world that often praises speed, your aura grows in stillness. In a society obsessed with doing, your presence speaks through being.